Well, you're back. Welcome back to the Wicked Wild podcast, your home of all things wicked, wild, lost, and confused. And we're going to lean into the lost and confused tonight as we do a movie review of Maximum Overdrive, the one and only Stephen King directorial credit. And we may even talk about why that may be one too many. But before we get into that, let me introduce you to the rest of the hosts of the show. We're going to start with Jaime up in New York, New York. How you doing, Jaime?
Doing okay. What's up?
So let me ask you, and I know that you're on the same page just because we had some basic conversations before we got on tonight. But you had mentioned something, and I had thought about it as I was watching because it drove me crazy first because I couldn't figure out who it was, and then when I found out who it was hilarious. But why does Stephen King want me to wish harm against little Lisa Simpson?
Yeah. Because
it's not okay.
It's not okay, but let's listen. So now a little fact about me that I don't know whether you guys know or do not know because it's really not relevant anymore. But I used to be like, I say but the biggest Simpsons fan. Like I would destroy you in trivia. I would my life revolved, only lived in Simpsons or Seinfeld quotes like that. Like that's it. As years have gone on, not so much. But I will say this. Lisa Simpson is the worst fucking character on that show. To a degree. I mean, there's worse, but you know what I mean. And I don't remember what else she's been in as an actress, but I was having flashbacks of hating her in something else also. Like, I feel like
she was part of the crew on Tracy Ullman. I know she was on Ullman.
I wasn't a big, but like something else, like she annoyed the fuck out of me, like this movie.
The beauty of it is that Yeardley Smith, she knows that her voice is that voice and she leans hard into it. But in this one, it was like, oh my God, just why is she still living? Why is she?
Why do you create her not to kill her? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like this character, I mean, sorry, not like the actor, but like, why do you create this character not to destroy her in maybe the worst way you possibly can? But anyway.
We'll get into it in a minute. Next, we'll introduce our Michigan candidate, Mr. John. How's it going, John?
I'm doing quite well this evening. Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome. So they did highlight in this a classic 80s arcade setup. So I thought of you. Did you see any cabinets in there that you lusted over?
No, it's funny. Some of those I think were before my time. I did look up. I think
some of them were fake.
Yeah. Well, straight up, the Star. I think Star Castle was like the main one. Like that screen is not what that game looks like at all. Yeah. But it was interesting. Apparently, that was like one of the first vector graphics games, and apparently was quite well loved. But I did get the feeling. I did love. It reminded me a little bit of Canada in terms of when you go into Canada, everything feels like it's 10 years older.
Oh yeah.
It's like going back in time 10 years because this, like being a rural truck stop, I'm sure that arcade hadn't been touched in 10 years because this was made in the 80s. So it felt like the 70s. So I was like, this is perfect.
Exactly. Yeah. He bought those at a consignment or a going out of business sale and he threw them in the back room. But the fact that you have like a 10 by 10 arcade with maybe 8 cabinets in there, a coin machine and a friggin' cigarette machine. I know what that room smells like.
I had flashbacks. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, they used to have cigarette machines.
Yep, exactly. And then we've got Eli, our Pennsylvanianite, our Pittsburgher, as he
don't like either one of those.
How's it going, Eli?
Living the dream here.
So I have a question for you.
All right, hey, ask away.
Why did this diner feel like it had the same energy as your office you keep telling us about on many occasions?
Listen,
this diner just seemed like it was off the rails even before anything else.
I'll be honest, first off, this diner, it probably has a better work environment than where I work currently. I was sitting there when I was watching this going, I wonder if they're taking applications right now. Secondly, this diner, this is what I don't know how Stephen King did it, but he somehow managed to catch a vibe of a Waffle House on film. And I love me a good Waffle House, which every Waffle House is good. But like that vibe of like, if I got up and just went back and started cooking my own food, no one probably would care. It's like he caught that vibe, and then he caught the vibe of like the same thing of like, because like I can almost smell that restaurant where it's like I can smell the cigarette smoke in the dirt mixed with the greasy food, but the food still somehow overpowers the dirt smell. So like, I'm going to eat it. I'm just going to eat it.
And dang it, if those eggs still wouldn't be delicious.
That's
still
best food you've eaten all day. Listen, there's a truck stop where I grew up that's kind of like this. And like when you would step in it, you would slip on the grease. The grease was so built up on the floors. And like you were deathly ill all evening after you ate there. But damn, that wasn't the best lunch or dinner you had all month when you ate there. And every time you walked in, you knew what your night was going to be.
Oh, yeah. You knew where it was headed.
It was going to be a 7-hour marathon on the old Toilet Express. But you know what? Every minute of it was worth it. Because you knew next month when you go back, you're going to eat there again.
Well, on that note, I do want to give us a pause before we get into the official movie review. Because as you've heard, there's a lot of doing right now. And we need to give our host journalist an opportunity to give us this week's Wicked Whispers.
Yeah, I'll be honest, people. It's all I don't even fucking know anymore. I legit keep waiting because maybe it's because I'm used to previous years, but every week I'm like, well, this has to be it, right? Like I want to have a dead week eventually, and goddamn if every week's not like holding my beer. Got two whispers here for you. We should be highly concerned about. One, the fine folks at the Hubble telescope came out and go, hey, we found a question mark in space. And everybody's like, what? And then they released a picture of something that looks like some form of nebulous cloud or gas in the exact shape of a question mark. And they go, and people are like, what are the theories on this? They're like, oh, well, it could just be the formation of this nebulous gas, like possibly just happened to be that way. Or maybe we're not getting the whole picture because of how far away it is. One guy was like, it could be a message. We don't know. And we're like, well, hold on. Hey, excuse me. What do you make it be a message? He's like, yeah, we don't know. And he never answered that question. Like, is this the year of
if we got that punctuation and we missed the actual message, we are screwed.
I'm convinced it's just the aliens after watching that hearing being like, what the fuck? What the fuck, bros?
I think the Matrix is just trolling us.
Listen, what I don't understand at this point is like, is this the year of like government officials like letting stuff slip either on purpose or by accident? And then like people go, excuse me, what'd you say? And they just go, and then just like walk away. And everybody's like, what's going on with that? So there's that.
Holy crap. I just looked it up. That is 100% a question mark.
Right? It's like crazy. It's crazy.
That is the weirdest thing I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you that one.
Well, hold on, because here comes the second news this week. Over the last couple weeks, and I've kind of mentioned some of it, as we know, the waters around Florida are like 100 degrees. The earth is literally fucking melting. Well, in that melting comes the permafrost up north. It's like melting pretty quickly. Some things that they have found, just to give you a heads up, is a bunch of smallpox people that they buried back in like beginning of the 1900s, and they're like, well, the cold don't kill smallpox, so we have to be careful so there's not a smallpox outbreak. That's cool. Also, they found the largest virus that known to man. It came back to life. They got back to life when they brought it to heat. They're like, we're just going to watch it for a while, which is cool. Then they found these bloodworms that are like something like 1,000,000-something years old that they also brought back to life with some heat. And then it started reproducing asexually. And they're like, we're going to watch this for a while too, see what happens. And I thought those were all the scary stuff. So this happened.
Okay.
And it coincides with another article I read this week that have brought tears to my eyes. For those of you who watched The Last of Us, apparently they didn't want to be outdone in 2023 as the way the world ends. Because that show is based on these cordyceps taking over humans and controlling them to spread. Well, that's a real thing in the world, except for it's only on insects. The last count, it was like 68-something insects that these cordyceps can do this to. Well, then they found 2 more, and they noticed it's 2 large breed of spiders. And the guy made a note. He's like, it's kind of crazy. Every time we see a new species they do this to, it's bigger than the last species, which I'm like, that's a terrifying line, because when is it going to stop? And then these assholes studying the permafrost said, hey, I think we found some frozen cordyceps. We're going to see if we can bring it back. So, I don't even know anymore. Every week, it's something else is going to kill us. If we make it to 2024, I'll be really surprised. Because I don't know at this point if the aliens are going to fuck us up. Then you have these rich tech assholes who turned loose AI with no controls. And they're still out there saying like, we can't stop it. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And then you got these dickheads in the permafrost who's just bringing shit back. I don't know, Dave. I don't know what to do anymore. I keep reading these things. I don't sleep at night.
It's interesting for those that don't watch our YouTube channel where you get the actual feed. And if you do, you can verify what I'm experiencing here. But, we probably started the Wicked Whispers segment of the show, 6 months ago?
About.
And when we first did it, we thought it'd be a fun gaff. Eli was all excited about it. He had glee every week. He got excited and he's going to make some jokes and tell a few little interesting factoids. That is no longer the experience I'm having of looking at Eli. He's got the eyes of a shark. He's dead inside.
I was talking to somebody the other day and I was like, it's probably good that humans gave up on just trying to make anything work or be better. And we're more concerned about who Johnny Depp's marrying and like the people from your favorite shitty reality show and them fucking Kardashians. Because like, if we actually look what's going around us, it is more fucking bleak here than the Black Plague times.
Yeah. Come on.
Bro, listen, there's not been a movie made where it's been Skynet, the alien, the cordyceps, the whatever other shit they're going to find frozen that for some goddamn reason is coming back to life. I don't even know. Oh, and then like, and worse comes to worse, the other thing that scares me is I keep getting these videos from Philadelphia of that xylophone drug that make people look like zombies. And it's a sad thing, but it doesn't help when I'm up late at night reading about cordyceps and those people are moving like the clickers in The Last of Us. I have fucked my brain for the show. You're welcome, people. You're welcome.
We're literally giving one of our hosts sanity to bring this.
I'm sacrificing myself to bring you all the truth.
Oh, as if you weren't reading this already anyway. That's why we do this for you.
How dare you?
Just sitting on your phone and nobody to tell
No. There's a difference, right, Jamie? I was selective in what I was reading on my own. Now I've turned I've turned the faucet all the way on.
All safeties are off.
There's places on the like there's websites when I've been looking for stuff or like trying to follow up to verify if this is accurate or not. And I'm like, I shouldn't go on this website. But then I do. And I do it for you, Jamie. You should be sending me a thank you card.
Well, on that note, we're going to move into our on the fly synopsis. If you haven't listened to the show before, this is where I am going to interview one of my other hosts and find out who has to give the film synopsis for Maximum Overdrive this week. Nobody knows who it's going to be. Could be me, could be any of our other hosts. But if you remember last review we did, I was the actual on the fly synopsizer for 13 Ghosts. So I'm not going to interview myself because I'm not that crazy yet. But so I did choose Jaime to be my interviewee. So Jaime, your question is, where would you be holding up for a week while we ride out the mechanical uprising caused by the comet tail? All this science is sound, but where would you be holding up? Would it be at an arcade, a mall, or a movie theater?
Mall.
The mall. Huh? All right. Eli, tell us about this movie.
The fuck? I literally think now it's a game for you every week to find the thing that's I'm not gonna like and make it me. I'm convinced that's happening. But hey, anyways, Maximum Overdrive is a movie that a comet passes the Earth, and as it does, it causes all basically not all, but a lot of electronics become sentient and attack people. Anything from a pop dispenser to a bunch of vehicles which herd up like a herd of lions to hunt down humans who are trapped in a gas station. And Emilio Estevez, your hero, like most movies in the 80s. So, and then shenanigans ensue. That's Maximum Overdrive.
So much of a hero that actual other characters in the movie refer to him exclusively as the hero.
That's correct.
800 times.
That's correct. Yeah. Let's almost say is, did you ever see Breakfast Club? Hero. Mighty Ducks? Hero. Young Guns 1 and 2? Heroes.
Are you saying he's typecast?
I'm saying he wishes he was typecast because most of these movies, not a very good hero.
Well, and on that note, Jaime, tell us about your experience with Maximum Overdrive. First time seeing it? Seen this before?
So I thought I saw it before. I don't think I did. So first time seeing this, I guess. I know what it is. I know what it's about. I know the visuals from it. So wasn't really super psyched to watch it. Just because it didn't need to see it again if I ever did see it. Turns out, and I probably didn't, and that I was 100% correct in that assessment. This movie is just flat out bad. There's not a redeeming thing in this movie. I'm sorry. Even how silly the plot is, the movie could be silly. It's not. Any excitement you could have for this movie or anything that you could hear the plot, you'd be like, oh my God, this could be so, just imagine the dullest version you can make of that movie. And that's what this is. It's way too long. And we spend 2 hours watching trucks idle outside a gas station diner while people inside yell at the trucks. It is the most asinine, stupidest plot and just stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. The acting is terrible. The writing is terrible / cringe. The plot is terrible. I have don't ask me any of these characters' names. I don't know one of them except for Connie, who should have died literally immediately as soon as she was on screen. To use Eli's term, they were all planks. Not one person in this movie has a personality or a defining characteristic or something I should even care about. I didn't at all. I could barely hold interest in this movie. I could barely pay attention to this movie. It should be a short. It should be something like a Twilight Zone episode. And that's the length that something like this should exist. I mean, I even sound way more angry about it than I am because we're getting into this and I guess it hasn't come out yet. But I couldn't understand what anybody in this movie was saying. And then I put on closed captioning and that didn't help because I don't know how anybody else watched it. But the closed captioning was at least a minute behind the movie. Or a minute ahead. I'm sorry, a minute ahead. So I'm seeing the closed captioning and no one has said this yet. So I'm guessing who's gonna say it because I'm just I'm guessing if these two people are talking, I'm trying to guess what's happening in the conversation because they were either mumbling or had the worst accents I've ever heard in my life. That's it. This movie, I will never watch this movie again. Thanks for making me suffer through it for this, so we can have this conversation. The end.
Fair enough. All right. Our own Detroit son. Let's talk about some big rigs. John, what did you think of this movie? First review?
Oh, this is not. I've seen this before. And I believe there was maybe a small accusation of some nostalgia being exuded from this movie by a few of us. And I think there's a little bit of that. However, I didn't see this until a couple of years ago. And I watched it only because I'd heard it was so bad. And there are some moments I was like, oh, I almost took it as a comedy. It's so comically ridiculous at some moments. The movie, as I stated earlier, is objectively bad. It is a bad movie. Even Stephen King says it's a bad movie. Apparently when he gets asked, why don't you direct more movies? He's like, have you seen Maximum Overdrive? And if they say no, he goes, go watch that and you have your answer. It is definitely some of the worst acting I've seen. And I wouldn't say it's Emilio, his love interest, who says some of the dumbest things I've ever heard on screen.
That love story is one of the worst things I've ever seen play out on screen.
Oh, come on. You don't like it? It was I kind of want to put my arm around you. like what? It's
And
like,
wasn't he calling her babe like within
Yeah.
10 minutes of meeting her?
Mhm,
obviously.
mhm.
I mean, but who doesn't love a truck stop with an arsenal in the basement?
Yeah.
And like the argument of like, you better get out of there and not touch my stuff lasts all about 15 seconds. And then he just like, yeah, go ahead, whatever.
Oh, right. We're being invaded by mechanical murderers.
Oh man, there's so many like plot awfulness, but the fact that Stephen King makes the cameo to use an ATM, he goes, "This machine called me an asshole," is still one of the funniest things in this movie, and it's like right in the beginning. You can
Yeah, the
just
first
turn it
5
off.
seconds, so then you
You
can
can
turn it
just
off.
turn it off. You can just turn it off after that. That's like the best part. But if you stay along for the ride, the second best part is literally the vending machine. The vending machine shooting sodas at kids, watching them run and scream, and actually murdering the coach is chef's kiss. It's so great. They should have just steered into the comedic parts of this and just got way over the top and just been really awful. And I think everyone would love this movie. And I actually cut about a half hour out of it because it is ridiculously long for what it is. And yeah, no. So I enjoy it. To me, this is definitely a 6-pack and friends movie at best. And at worst, I mean, you get really, really out there like stoned, and you probably have a good time with it. But other than that, do not watch this sober by yourself because it is not good.
It's not a contemplative movie.
No.
So I am curious, how often would you say that this is in circulation for you?
It is probably going to be once, maybe 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
I honestly, I don't really have a strong desire after this because it's funny you mentioned that because I was eyeing like there's a Blu-ray release they did not that long ago. I'm like, this movie's like so rare. It's like, it's kind of those things like it was hot for the streaming services like a few years ago when I first saw it. And then it hasn't really been back. And you can only watch it, I think, on Pluto now.
Yeah.
Where I think the majority of us watched it. And
Don't put the closed captioning on though.
I was going to say Pluto's platform
Is poop.
is not. I mean, it actually
is where movies go to die. Let's just be honest.
No, you know what? There's good movies on there.
There it is.
No, The Patriot is on Pluto. I like rewatched The Patriot last week. I love The Patriot. That's a good movie.
It is, but how does
but who's been barking for the Patriot in the last 20 years?
Me. And like it's there, and it kept randomly restarting the movie, but at different points. And I was like,
oh man,
like, what the fuck is happening?
If Tubi hasn't taught anyone anything about streaming platforms, Eli, is you can only pause the movie. You can't back it up and hit resume and expect to start back up.
No, you're misunderstanding me. I wasn't pausing it. I wasn't rewinding it. It was doing itself. And then I thought it was finally done. And I was like, great. And then it was like at that pivotal scene where
did it do the Maximum Overdrive or just the Patriot?
No, the Patriot, where my boy Heath Ledger is about to get got. And right before he gets got, it fucking starts back over at the beginning. And I was so angry. And then when we watched this, and I was like, oh, I wonder if it's on any streaming services. And I was like, oh, Pluto, fuck you. And I hooked up my goddamn Blu-ray player, which I haven't used in 10 years, and watched it on that. Because like, I'm not doing it again. Never again.
So Eli got the lossless full res version.
Oh, well, was it the DVD or the Blu-ray?
It was the DVD.
Okay. So he got the great audio. Picture, probably not so much. But hey, it's Maximum Overdrive. You don't need fidelity for this.
Exactly. Yeah. You're not looking in for the details. All right, Eli. Obviously, you own the DVD.
I do.
So let's talk about it.
I do. Listen.
Tell us about this movie.
I'm not. You all know me. I don't apologize for nothing, and I'm not going to apologize for what I say. I love Maximum Overdrive. I know it's bad. I love it. When I was a kid, that movie scared the shit out of me because on rural roads, truck drivers go really fast. Like it's almost like a Pet Cemetery. Like that's a real thing. Me growing up was always don't go near the road because a semi truck will hit you. Like that was a warning all the time because those straight country roads, like they would fly down those because they wouldn't think there'd be a lot of traffic. And so then when they came out with a movie where the trucks literally chased you down, and one was the Green Goblin from Spider-Man, which is not something you saw outside of like comics or like cartoons. It's terrifying.
Yeah, but there's only one chase in this movie. Like, I thought that's what this movie was going to be.
Hey, it doesn't matter. The fact
Otherwise,
that there's
they
one.
move at 2 miles per hour.
Hey, that's because they're circling like sharks, Jamie. They're circling like
That's all
sharks.
I had to say. Go.
Listen, I don't even care. It only takes one truck to have to chase me before I knew, like, my diarrhea defense isn't gonna work. Okay, but I love it. I love
trucks don't got noses.
They don't got noses. They don't smell shit.
Get it?
But I do. I love this movie. I love the terrible acting. I love Emilio Estevez because like I was telling you guys earlier, I'm convinced when he was in Young Guns, he was like, because Emilio Estevez tries to make a character, never does, but he tries really hard. And I'm convinced, a couple years after this, when he's filming Young Guns, he's like, who was Billy the Kid? He's like, Maximum Overdrive. Just turn it up a little bit. Which
Bill to Billy.
That's what it was, But I love him. That stupid married couple. Like I think the lady was from Saturday Night Live.
And Kurt.
Yeah, love their nonsense. And then some of the kills in this, I still to this day laugh when that pop vending machine kills all the baseball kids. I still laugh about it to this day because it's the most absurd and fantastical thing I've ever seen in my life. Fantastic thing. And I also appreciate this movie because if you look at Stephen King's timeline, and admittedly, he has said this was the worst his drug problem was when he did this movie. The absolute worst his drug problem was. And it shows. And I love it because you can't make this movie unless you're blowing about 20 pounds of cocaine a day. You just can't do it. So I appreciate him for that. I do. I love this movie. I watch it every couple years. And it's always one of those, I'm feeling real weird. I'm sitting there and I'm like, what do I want to do? And I'm like, I want to watch Maximum Overdrive.
I'm feeling kooky. I'm going to watch.
But
my
like,
boy Bill.
that was the thing. And Dave is going to talk, but that was the scenes that both of you were bringing up, like the soda machine. Yeah, that was funny. This was all in the first 15 minutes. Like, what I'm saying is, like, the plot, the premise that could have been silly and wacky ends in 15 minutes, and you're sitting with trucks moving at 2 miles per hour.
It's the absurd, like, that. You're right.
All the absurdity goes out the window, though, and we're just watching.
Just the sheer fact that you're watching Emilio Estevez. I'd say 1 year before he probably blows up. Like you're talking about, like, just very shortly it's gonna blow up. You watch him just chewing it up, thinking he might get an Oscar for this because that's what Emilio Estevez does in every movie.
I don't know,
and I appreciate it. And you got all these people just doing their shenanigans, and like not terrible. I love it. Listen, I don't care. You can slather this movie in dog shit, and I'll still hug it. Love it.
It is
love
everything in dog shit.
Love it. Love it. Love it. I love this movie so much. I love it. I watch it every couple of years. I still, like, anytime I meet somebody and they're like talking about truck movies, I'm like, Maximum Overdrive. It's awesome. It's awesome. Even the shitty scene at the beginning with the comet that literally looks like he had a paper fucking comet taped to a string. It was like, ooh,
it's awesome.
I love it. I love it. Every moment of this movie, I love it. And I will not apologize.
I mean, did you like the detail in the crawl of like how many seconds, days? It's absurd.
The whole thing's absurd. And what's kind of crazy too about this movie is, like, this was like a conspiracy theory, like, for like folks in the 70s, like, the machines are gonna take over, like they're gonna use machines to kill us, man. Like, these are what those like old high hippies were talking about. And like, he did a movie about it while he was really high. And it's just crazy. Crazy. I love it. I don't even care. I'm not gonna apologize for it. Hey, ask me, Jamie. Ask me if I'm going to apologize.
Asking you to
I'm not going to
apologize.
apologize, Jamie. You can't make me.
Like, no one's ever asked you to apologize for whichever shit movie you like.
Whoa. First off, okay.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. Let's let Dave tell me how great this movie is.
Oh, how dare you?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, this movie is just bad. And I will be the first to admit, we've talked about this with a couple of other movies that we go way back to and that we haven't seen in a while that we go back and watch. I have maybe not ruined, but I have deeply negatively impacted a core memory in my brain by going back and watching this movie, because I had fond memories of seeing Maximum Overdrive. I'd only seen it once before. It wasn't one that I had really sought out. To your point, it did the cycle, and now it's kind of hard to find, so it doesn't show up to where I can watch it. But I'd whitewashed this movie in my memory of thinking it was really funny. It has these great scenes, which the scenes you talked about, they are great. And then I realized, because I was trying to think, why did I like this so much? And then I realized, and I'm not going to go into any details, but when I realized when I had seen it and the circumstances within which I saw this movie, I'm like, oh, it had very little to do with the movie. So I had this core memory that I've now separated the movie and the actual events of what I actually enjoyed. It's a mess. I mean, I think we all agree. I mean, nobody is defending the artistic quality or the storytelling journey of this movie.
I think
It's
someone
just a
might
mess.
be, but let's see.
No, he was very honest.
I was very honest. It's an absurd film. I love it. I don't bash. I don't. It's just like, this is like your cousin who eats glue, but you can't help but love him. You can't help but love him. He eats glue, but you know what? So does a lot of people.
And honestly, I'm excited that there are people that have energy for this movie, because even in my notes, I'm like, I don't even know where to start. I don't have strong feelings. I mean, it didn't piss me off. This movie didn't piss me off. It just confused me. I'm not sure why even like the Green Goblin truck became an icon of horror. I mean, it's in like 2 minutes of the entire movie. Now, it's a cool looking truck. It's totally impractical, and it's dumb if you actually think about it at all. But it's a cool image for a movie poster and all that kind of stuff. But, at the end of the day, and this is what it reminded me of, and it was the heyday of National Lampoon making these kind of movies. But this movie makes National Lampoon look like an Aronofsky epic. I mean, it's just, at least they land their jokes. The jokes are like half-baked, literally, in this movie. So I don't know what else to say about it other than, we can talk about some scenes. I've got a couple of questions. My first question to kick us off is, it is mystifying to me, and I want to know what your all's impact is. How is it somebody that we know as a stone fact is a master storyteller like Stephen King? I get that he was on drugs. He was on drugs when he wrote some of his best work. I mean, he was deep in blow when he was writing some of his best novels. But for somebody who knows the craft of storytelling to get this so screwed up,
it's different. He wrote some of his best work on drugs, but he was in control. During this time frame, he was not in control anymore. The drugs were like this was his worst time. Like he's even said, the amount of money he was spending on drugs a day, the amount of drugs he was doing a day, the fact that he didn't die during this time, like this was a movie of a man who the drugs were in pure control. And
but then I would expect it to be better, because this movie doesn't even feel like it's a man who's like on drugs.
No,
it's so boring once they get to this diner.
But you have to understand that the kind of stuff he makes, right? And like, granted, this is his first time directing, so you add that on, right? But the kind of stories he tells is the type of story someone on that much cocaine cannot write, because they are flitting between idea and idea, and it's not building nothing. And it shows. Like this, there's parts in this movie where I can literally see my mind. He's on the script. He's like, okay, and we're gonna do this. And then, okay. Like that was that whole process. I wish I could have been there during the making of this, because I bet you that man ran everywhere and for no reason, and no one knew why. But Stephen King was just running from place to place.
That's fine. The beginning of this, though, feels like that frantic energy. A soda machine fucking pelting kids with cans feels like that chaotic energy. Then you get to the diner, and he must have been coming down from his, because like nothing fucking happens.
He was involved in the editing process as well.
Oh no!
And then if you believe the story, it's never been proved, and he's never spoke. But the story, some of the stuff I read is that he was trying to edit it, but he was so out of his fucking mind that the studio was like, well, this is never going to get finished. So like they had to bring someone in to try to put his pieces together. And I mean that guy would probably walk into a room that had a thin white powder across everything, and there's just reels of film hanging from every surface. For some reason, there's a pair of white tighties in the corner. He doesn't know. He was not asking questions. He makes $11 an hour to come in here, try to put this shit together. That's what he did.
Yeah, but and I'm not calling BS. I do needed us to calibrate though. If you're saying that he was completely out of his mind, incompetent, couldn't have done anything right, understand the book that he published this same year that he had just finished writing in this same state was friggin' It. The next year was Misery, and
yeah, but like Stephen King's time
Misery,
frame,
the Tommyknockers, the Dark Tower 2 and 3. All
because
came out
after
in
this
the same
movie
time.
is when he had like right after they finished this is when he had his one accident and he was like, "Oh, I need to slow down." But he writes books so fast, you can't. I think a lot of people when they look at him in his different time frames, and like with his books, they see him as like, oh, a normal person. Takes sometimes 6 months to a year, where he's writing these books in like a fucking month.
Okay,
like,
well,
this guy
came out in 1986, same year
right,
as this movie.
Right, but like,
so where's this conditioning change?
Well, I'm saying that he had an accident right from this. Like, in my mind, right, he's like, oh, I need to fucking slow down and not do as much fucking coke as I did last month. He slowed down a little bit. Then he took a month and wrote it, and boom, he's on the next book.
He just can't direct. I mean, I'm sure the writing was a mess
either,
too, but like, I guess whatever was on paper could possibly be better than what made it to screen, possibly. Because
this is based on one of his crappy short stories.
Yeah,
called
Yeah.
Well, if it's based on one of his short stories, I mean, clearly what Jamie was saying earlier about being like
this
a good Twilight zone. Yeah, this I think could have been a really cool short.
Yeah,
you've done your wacky stuff. Like this would have been sweet to have in like Creep Show 2. Like,
can you imagine how horrified and disappointed Dino De Laurentiis was? Because he had just won the freaking lottery. Stephen King was coming in to produce and direct his.
That is kind of crazy back then. This is like his 100% prime time.
Oh yeah.
Once again, I wish I could be there because this is the closest to Jim Jones Stephen King ever looked. And like him, like waiting for Stephen King to walk in, and he's got his aviators on that for some reason he doesn't keep up to his face. And he's like, got his longer hair and his jean jacket. And he's like,
full beard.
Let's make a movie. It's like, oh my god.
Like a short. This could work. A short and going wacky, like the beginning / maybe some chase scenes. Like I need to say that up top too. Like every time I say like, well, the premise is there. Like I thought my assumption of this movie was there was a lot of road rage and like trucks chasing you down and driving you off the road. And like that happens once. And then we're just watching trucks literally go in a circle like little kids playing like Maypole, like just circling around the diner, which also, this movie should have ended at moment 1 because they just should have driven right into the fucking wall of the diner. Like they finally do 2 hours later in the movie. Like, why'd the trucks not just go right through the wall and take all these people out? Like,
we need the Morse code scene. We need the
Morse code. Oh my god!
And why is there
a fucking montage of filling trucks with gasoline?
Just what I was
like as if it's exciting.
And the kid giving the truck the finger is awesome.
There's a literally minutes montage to AC/DC. Like this is the most exciting or like impactful moment of them just filling trucks with fuel. Like trucks, inanimate objects with fuel.
Listen,
we're supposed to be like,
I even double checked to make sure I was right about the number. But like there's like if you watch on the one like the DVD version, like the commentary they have, version. Not extended, but they have like this little commentary section by like some people involved, and like the guy was like, "This movie was like they made this movie for almost $10 million," and they're like, "We don't know what it was all used for."
Exactly, I'm like, like cocaine.
I can tell you what a lot of it was used for, and it was the weird white thin powder that just had to be all over the set.
Was it to pay like Miller Lite to blow up their truck and Bic and whatever? There were a few companies.
Oh, there's an AC/DC van. That was cool.
AC/DC did the whole soundtrack, like did the soundtrack or whatever.
Again, blows my mind. If on paper you look at a movie that is written and directed by Stephen King, music by AC/DC, produced by Dino De Laurentiis, you're like, this thing's going straight to the friggin' moon. There's no stopping it.
It's gonna be sick.
Listen, cocaine is hell of a drug, kids. That's all I gotta say.
Thanks, Rick.
But I also like agree with D what you said up top. Like I guess not seen this or wiped it from my memory because it's so, like I thought the truck was more impactful. It's really just there to have something they could put on the poster and to look cool because it's the only truck that looks like that. So you're supposed to believe it's like the leader truck. This is insane. I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth. But like It's comical though when it's actually in the movie. In a way, it looks like it's. I know who Stephen King influenced, but it literally looks like the cover of an R.L. Stine book, and that's made for kids. Like it just like, and then it's barely in it. Like there was a moment where I said, "Did I miss?" And they blew up the leader truck. Like, where is this Green Goblin this whole time? Like, where has he been? And it's I don't know. He's just circling the back, hanging out in the parking lot.
What's crazy is I think the reason they went with the Green Goblin was like at the time, like comic books were like kind of metal, you know. Like they weren't widely accepted, and like they're kind of metal, and like he was like got it, and like it made it look like a villain, you know. And they probably only had to pay Marvel like $11 to do this. And
is
then,
it
like,
literally the Green Goblin though, or is it based on?
No,
it is literally.
Yeah,
okay.
it's the Green Goblin from
the Stan Lee design too.
Yeah,
it looks like I just didn't know. I didn't know. Like you know, how you could tweak something and say it's not.
Right.
Like I don't know.
Right,
like, I didn't know if like.
Yeah, I think he could probably get the licenses back then for like $20.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was
so
because like they weren't like I said, aside some cartoons, like they weren't big, you know. And
sure,
I think
Stan
the
did a couple bumps
original,
and agreed
if I
to
remember
it.
too, the original plan was like to give the truck, like they're going to give the truck to Marvel. Well, they only made one. Then when they blew it up, they forgot about it and they just sent it to a junkyard. And then some guy found it, was like, holy shit, that's a truck from Maximum Overdrive. And so like he bought it and he started to fix it, and then he sold it to somebody else because he's like, well, fuck it, no one cares about this movie, so why am I doing this? And then like eventually it's fixed and like someone owns it now.
Yeah, in the trivia I found the second guy who bought it, he kept it marred and burnt and stuff, and he parked it in the middle of his video rental store. Which,
that's awesome.
Can you imagine walking into a video store and there's a freaking Green Goblin truck? I'd be so jazzed for that. It was up in Ohio somewhere. I can't remember where.
That'd be cool.
But in 2011, he did finish restoring it all the way, and he actually takes it to the Comic Cons and to the horror cons now, which is pretty cool. But, and Eli, I know this will matter to you. That's a 1976 Western White Star 4800.
Yeah, definitely. I was sitting there wondering what type of truck is that.
You know.
I just assumed that was a truck that Stephen King hauled all of his cocaine in for the shoot of this.
I was waiting for your nerd comment since you.
Well, listen,
truck love.
I can't even get the energy, you big truck nerd, to go to even like address it anymore because I don't even know half them trucking words you said.
They got their straight six diesel engines for the Western White Stars from Allison, by the way.
Nerd.
So, I just want to finish this thread because it is the one thing that I held on to enough to put some notes together. You know, the whole Stephen King being part of this, being a craftsman of story. But then I started looking at, who are other novelists, very successful novelists that transition to becoming directors. And to your point, Eli, there aren't a lot. So maybe it is a left brain, right brain thing. Maybe you're using a totally different kind of creativity because one obviously is very visual, one is textual. I get that, but it's still storytelling. You would think structurally they have enough in common that you would know when you've made a piece of garbage or when you've actually told a cogent story.
Oh, I agree with you. But like if I was a betting person now, if I put money, and I bet you if you met with Stephen King one-on-one, no cameras or anything, you're like having a good time, and you pressed him, you really just did this for drug money, right? He'd be like, yeah, probably.
Yeah,
doing it for drug money is different than putting together a coherent story. I mean, of course he did for drug money. He was at that time. He was probably doing everything for.
He wasn't coherent. He was so on drugs. He got hit by a car after this. Like,
yeah, I understand. Exactly. To Dave's point, he's putting out other stuff that is some of his best stuff to exist.
Especially when he was young. Even now, he still does it because I've watched interviews with him. How quickly he writes. Like that dude is like he moves between phases so quickly. Like but it's kind of crazy.
The exact same year.
Yeah, it's the same time. What is he moving between?
But you don't understand. Like he filmed this, right?
Okay,
like,
1 week
he does
later.
this. 2 months later, he's a different King, and then he wrote it in probably a month because he literally writes 2 to 3 chapters per day. Like he writes books so fast, like it's crazy.
I appreciate your defense of him.
I'll defend him. I'll defend him.
Yeah.
No, like if you like, there's a fun interview if you watch. It was him and George R. R. Martin, or however you say his name. They were, I think, Stephen Colbert, and George R. R. Martin was literally like, "How are you writing these books so fast?" He goes, you've written, I think when they did the math, while we've been waiting for Winds of Winter, Stephen King's written like 20 something books.
It's all he does.
And he's like, he's like, well, he goes, I get up in the morning and he goes, I have office hours from like 9 to 5. He goes, and I write through chapters. And he's like, what? He's like, do you spend a lot of time editing wherever? He goes, no, I write my 3 chapters.
Yeah. The editors
He's done this. He's done that ever since the beginning. Like he writes books so fast. Like I sometimes I think like with this time frame, like I said, I get it. It's not a good movie. He did what he did. But in all his defense,
sure
I'm
did.
just saying he was in a bad period, and you literally get him cleaned up in a couple weeks, and he starts writing it. That son of a bitch is out in a month, or he's done in a month. He's a whole different person by that point. He's back in control of the drugs. Drugs aren't controlling him.
So what we're saying is that Maximum Overdrive is his
Also,
rock bottom.
you're right. It is really like it is good. It's profound. But let's be honest, that there's a certain part in that book, drugs are still there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, but we know.
And that's what I'm arguing. I'm saying no. This is the exact same dude.
Yeah.
No, this is less drugs.
No,
he just had a bad day when he wrote like chapter towards the end.
No,
He relapsed a little bit. He came out of it and was like, no, I don't edit. Fuck it.
why are you talking like you were there?
I like to think that me and Steven have a connection. I understand his mindset. Listen, man. Look, Dave, can I be honest with you? Can we, man, oh man, right? Let me be honest with you. I go into the darkness to find the truth, and I look at these people and their demons in the eye. I know how these things work. You gotta trust me. I've seen things.
Okay. I've trusted you
Wow.
before. You told me to
Never
shit on a
steered you
shark,
wrong.
so
I've never steered you wrong. Yeah, that it clogs their nose and electrical system. You survive. Dave, have I ever been attacked by a shark?
Do you even go in the water? Have you ever even been in the ocean?
That's irrelevant. I've never been attacked by a shark. That's irrelevant. I've never been attacked by a shark. Never been attacked by a shark.
So who else has any questions or any scenes that we want to break down or talk about?
I wrote down the
Arthur
best.
thing just blew my mind.
I wrote down the best line in the movie.
Okay.
You make love like a hero.
Yeah.
I can't even get that sentence out.
Listen,
Yeah.
Could not believe that sentence
listen.
Exists.
even existed.
You know, he went on to tell
That
people
sums
that
up
in
this
real
movie.
life because that dude doesn't know when he's in a movie and when he's not.
He
just
didn't
don't.
say it. She said it.
Yeah.
Right, but he went and told people,
Oh,
I was told I make love like a hero. And they're like, oh, wasn't that line in the movie? He's like, I'm Emilio Estevez.
That was only a little bit more eye rolly than the opening line from Stephen King and his cameo when he asks what did he call her? Sugar boobs or something like that to come over because the ATM's calling him an asshole. He literally calls the wife off screen something that I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna hate this movie.
Oh man, that guy was just man. Like I said, I would pay a lot of money to like just go back in time and just watch that whole production.
I'm sure people had a great time.
How many
this.
How many times do you think scenes were done and people were literally walking away going, "What the fuck just happened?"
The whole movie, based
What
on
happened?
what I watched.
Did anybody else have the Mandela effect memory of that this took place in the desert? My whole
No.
life, I've thought this movie took place in
Mhm.
the desert. Now we're in
No.
Wilmington, North Carolina. Okay,
Yeah,
just me.
that
then.
is-
But
was an
for whatever
interesting
reason, I don't know
selection,
if it was Duel and all the other trucker movies that happen out in the desolate desert. That
Well,
I
it might have
assumed
been
was,
like
but-
like they're throwing dust and stuff, you know. Probably
Yeah,
got
it was
to-
a lot of dirt and dust,
But,
and like, yeah, it doesn't look. It's not like it's got a lot of greenery in
Right.
the immediate. Like,
Would-
it's a parking
the-
lot, and
Yeah. Would the desert make it any better though?
Well,
No.
to the point Jamie made earlier, which I agree with completely, and we talked a little bit about this back when we did Joyride. When you use the truck as, in this case, literally an evil creature or a monster, you can't have it in a tight, confined area. You've got to have it in these wide open highways, isolated highways. So that's why I think the desert is a good place to do that, because then you can run up to 80 miles an hour with nobody around, and this thing can run you off the road and all that kind of stuff. But having a truck then have to articulate in a gas station, it's
Gas
just going to
station
sit
parking
there.
lot.
It's friggin' 50 feet long.
It's fucking the stupidest thing. A truck barrel. I know I've said this 8 times, but a truck barreling down the highway at you, maybe even with a green goblin face,
Scare the hell
terrifying.
out of you.
A truck sitting and looking at you, from just outside because
Or just
it won't go
circling.
through the wall, or you're moving
It's
it 2
like a-
miles
it's like
and it
a
can barely
shark.
turn because it's so big that it just has to
Well,
like
or is it
slowly-
like a shark?
No,
okay?
it's not like a shark. It's a fucking truck.
Have
like-
you? I'm just saying.
I
Yeah.
just the stupidity of like what you're supposed to there's any kind of tense or scary moments in this once you're just dealing with trucks just sitting in a parking lot.
You know,
Literally, like they're talking to the trucks. Like that fucking waitress yells at the trucks.
Oh,
We
that's one of the
made
best
you.
scenes.
We made you.
Yeah.
Frankie science monster. Jamie, listen. You know what I'm getting from this.
She
You know what I'm
calls him
getting-
something really stupid, and I wrote it down on my first set of notes, and I ripped the page out because I was too messy, and I don't like being too messy, so I ripped the page out and I forgot to rewrite it again. But she called them something so fucking dumb. I wish I could find that piece of paper and unravel it.
Listen, you know what I'm getting from you, Jamie, right now. You know what I can tell about you right now in this moment.
What?
You're someone who's never been stuck in a gas station that was circled by trucks. You never had that experience, so you don't even know. Okay?
I've been at truck gas stations. I've driven
That's
to
been
the
held
south,
hostage
whatever.
by trucks.
No, but nobody's been held
That's what I
hostage
mean.
by trucks.
That's what I mean. I don't want to talk about it. Okay.
Oh. Oh,
If you were
oh.
held hostage by trucks, there were people in those trucks.
Maybe.
And
I don't know.
that's scarier. That okay,
Maybe.
we're talking
I wasn't. I didn't see it.
fucking people.
Was
But
it Emilio?
Listen, they literally found a question mark in space, Jamie.
oh my god,
You tell me trucks can't drive. What do they do? Wait, hold on. Whoa, wait. You know what? Just had a thought. Hold on.
Oh no, this is
What
not
you
gonna end
don't
well.
even know right now, right? You don't even know right now, JB, is Maximum Overdrive's all of our futures, right?
It's a
think about it.
documentary.
It's a documentary because they have AI that they can't control. What are they doing with that AI? Making self-driving vehicles. What is Tesla working on right now? Self-driving semi
all
trucks.
these trucks, by the way,
In-
had
in
to
the
fill up
question
at
mark.
one gas station.
Exactly.
Let's also
Well,
go to
these
that too.
ones-
They
wait.
all had to go to one gas station. So you just blow up that gas station,
Listen.
and all these trucks are just out of
Tesla's
commission.
is not going to have to
Oh,
because
fuck
it's
Tesla.
electric, and
Yes,
their
it is.
AI is
Do you
going to
know how?
come
Wait, do you know how far an electric car can go?
at
Way
least 300
fucking shorter
miles.
than a gas-driven car.
No, at least 300 miles, and all it takes is 1 mile to run you over. So this is a documentary. You should be studying Emilio Estevez because the world's going to need a hero like him and who has sex like a hero like him to get through this.
The trucks can understand what they're saying, right? So
Yeah.
the
Oh,
trucks
yeah.
can understand.
Totally.
He can negotiate with the trucks. They need
Absolutely.
the fucking gas. That
Well,
he's
there's no
gonna give them.
negotiation. but-
Instead of
trust.
letting all these trucks just run out of gas. So
No,
they're
you don't
going
have
to
to
give
do
the
it.
trucks gas. He talks to the trucks. Then he tells another gentleman the whole plan right in front of the truck.
Sure.
and then says run and spins the gun like it's a fucking
Yep.
top. And that's how we destroy this
Well,
whole
no,
There's a grenade. He had a grenade too.
yeah, but he spun the
But
Why
he
did you
used
spin
it
the gun
after
5
he
hours ago,
refilled the
asshole?
friggin' truck.
this is all different now because they're electric in our future.
I'm not
And-
talking about our future. I'm talking about this
oh
movie,
my
which is
God.
what we're discussing
Well,
right
this
now.
is the manual, Jamie, for how
This
we're going
is
to
the
survive.
manual.
And
No.
all I'm saying, I don't see no one stepping up. Maybe I should start calling myself Emilio. That's all I'm saying.
Good luck.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
Thanks, Emilio,
You're welcome.
for your future efforts.
But we've talked about the refueling scene. I literally had the experience of, in my mind, assuring myself that the movie had to be close to being over because these trucks are going to run out of gas right as they were
Hey, refill.
revealing that they're refueling. I'm like, screw this movie. And then for the
Steven.
next 10 to 15 minutes, I have to watch them refuel friggin' trucks.
in a montage in which she also says, I hope they choke on it. It's a fucking truck. It's a fucking truck. This
There.
is like the dumbest movie I think I've
Hey.
had to sit through in a very long time.
You can
Like,
get a clogged fuel line. It was basically
so
a clogged fuel line. Then
dumb.
choking on it.
I actually think I'm liking this movie more and more the
You're
more
welcome.
Jamie hates it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I
I'll
did
defend this movie to
appreciate
death.
the quote unquote hero's line that had to come straight from Stephen King, where he's talking about we have the purest uncut.
Yeah.
Like, we're not talking diesel, are we?
Yeah, that I was like,
It's diesel. It is refined.
I'm telling you, one of those trucks.
and he was saying
had-
it to a truck, right?
Yeah,
Like, he was
exactly.
talking to a truck.
Of course.
Yep. One of those trucks had cocaine in the back. Like one of those trucks was solely brought into this movie because it brought all of his cocaine there. I'm thoroughly convinced of this. He probably spent most of the filming in the back of one of those trucks.
Eli, nobody's denying that Stephen King was
Yeah.
on drugs.
There's no argument on
Yeah.
that.
No, I'm not,
You don't have to
I'm not
convince-
saying anybody's
He's not got to
arguing.
convince anybody.
I'm just, I just can't emphasize enough.
So
That man was doing a lot of coke.
I can't emphasize enough that I don't care how much coke he's on. It should have been more entertaining than for the amount of coke he was on.
yeah, there's no argument you can make, Eli. I apologize. There's no logic stream. There's no mathematical equation that you can show me that equates this movie and this human being who made this movie to the exact same guy who friggin' wrote it in the
I can't.
exact same period. No,
I can't.
you can't.
I can't.
Don't even
yes,
stop.
I can
No,
do it.
You can't.
I can do it.
Nope, you
Yes,
cannot do
I
it.
can do it.
You
John, I
already
have a
tried.
question for
No.
you.
Worst
John, my
movie,
question
best.
for you is, and you've said, I think we've all had a good time talking about it. But all joking aside, there's a movie in here that you found fun. There's something in
Mhm.
here that you've watched more time. So let me ask you, how do you fix this movie, or what do you do to fix
Ooh.
it?
Oh, you cut the perfect example is the most fun scenes don't involve a truck.
Yeah, the beginning.
Literally, the protagonist or the main antagonist are the trucks, and you're supposed to hate them, and they're the most boring characters. But you give me that steamroller squishing that watermelon of
So
a
double
kid.
down on the
it's
gimmicks.
The lawnmower,
double down,
the
quadruple,
blow
10
dryer
times down on
strangled
it.
a girl and she was hanging out the window. Like those things were fun.
That's a great point. You literally the kid riding his bike down the scene. There's so many funny moments, like the
Mhm.
girl with the phone, and I'm trying to remember some other ones. There were some
The blow
other
dryer strangling. That's a blow dryer, not a phone. The girl's
Oh,
strangled
okay.
by her blow
Yeah.
dryer, I think, who was doing her hair.
I
The
do think you've got to
lawnmower.
punch up the gore too.
Yeah, and in the beginning, it wasn't. I thought it was going to be. I thought that's where we were going with this movie.
Oh yeah,
and
you
then
definitely need more gore.
they
Lots
started
more
watching
gore.
Trucks.
Actually, I would like to see somebody kind of really bonkers and bizarre redo this movie.
Oh no! Don't let anybody touch it.
No,
Oh my
well, or do a movie like just do
It
the
could only go up from here.
No, it will be worse. It'll
no
be 10 times
way.
worse.
You just cut out the trucks. and
Oh
you
my
just-
god! Yo, you gotta keep the trucks, man. What are you doing?
Eli's dying inside.
Oh man, because I mean, it's basically some of the gags. Like I don't know who you put in, but yes, you got to crank up the gags, crank
Yeah,
up
listen.
like the satirical deaths, like all the things. I mean, there are so many devices that we use every day now.
The stupid electric knife attacks her. Like it's
Yeah,
so
that's
dumb.
pretty funny. But
Like,
the problem
it's
is,
so
was she
dumb.
cutting the turkey at the time?
No, it's also it's like battery operated, and his way of getting rid of it is like to smash with a hammer instead of just opening it up or like just
Or
taking
just
it
pick it
apart.
up. It
It's
has
Yeah,
no
that's what I mean,
force.
like,
Moving
you-
quickly. You don't want to get too close. Listen,
Those
all I'm saying
parts
is
were
defending it.
funny. Like those
Right.
parts, I believe he's
I'm
on
glad we're on the same
cocaine
page.
and
It's
he's
a great
making
movie.
a
You're
bad
right.
shit
I'm
movie.
glad we're
But-
Trucy's.
Okay, Trucy's, that was 15 minutes, and then we got to the
No,
diner,
listen,
and then we got
listen.
the truck.
If there's 3 things I know in this world,
Oh,
babies
oh.
can't walk backwards, horses can't
Horses
look
can't
up,
look up, which they
and this
can.
is one of those they cannot. This is one of those movies you cannot remake.
Absolutely, you could.
Nope, because they'll
You
do
could
the
totally
same
remake this
thing
movie.
Yeah, you
they
could
did
remake
with
this.
Child's Play and make it stupid robot AI bullshit instead of voodoo.
No,
Are you putting
No.
this on the same level as Child's Play?
I
Are
did
you?
not
actually,
say
I think
that.
Child's
I
Play only slightly
said-
better.
I said they would do the same
Yeah, I'm
thing
not a big Child's
with
Play
the
fan, but-
remake for this that they did with the remake of Child's Play.
Well,
is what I
because-
said.
But Eli, to that defense, I understand what you're saying, because listen, there's plenty of movies that we all say we don't want people to touch, and you get. But unfortunately, this movie's from '86. We are now in 2023, going into 2024. If they did remake it, they have to put a modern spin because people aren't even going to understand
Right.
half the old technology, and
That's
like they
true.
have to make it AI, or they have to make it something that we could all relate to and be afraid
Don't
of right
even
now. Even
touch
like,
it. Can Emilio Estevez be a hero?
Oh,
No,
come
don't
on!
even
Somebody,
touch it.
somebody programmed some sort of AI that has a
Oh
real
my
sick
god!
sense of humor.
No.
I'm
Go
into
watch.
it.
No, go watch Five Nights at Freddy. Then don't watch this.
Whatever.
Listen,
Just give me
guys,
that. Give me that soda machine.
I'm here.
murdering more
I'm
kids,
here out
okay?
looking for Emilio Estevez. No one else is. Okay.
And I
No,
say we put.
nobody
I
else
say we
is.
put Emilio Estevez in this new remake as
Don't
well.
yeah,
you
that's
dare.
fine. We can bring
No,
him back.
no,
Why?
'cause
What
they
else
won't
is he
make it-
doing?
They'll make him like the old guy that owns a gas station. He won't be the hero.
That's fine.
Don't do
Yeah,
that. to him.
whatever.
No, they'll make him an old
You
hero.
know,
He'll
I
help
bet
the
you
hero.
Emilio Estevez every day, and they're like, Emilio,
But he has to walk in on the main
what's your
protagonist.
day?
having sex and saying, you know what, that guy makes love like a hero.
No, that makes him look like a pervert. What are you doing? Make him look like a pervert.
You know what?
I like where your head's at, John.
Kevin
Ooh,
Bacon
yeah.
should star in this movie.
Don't you
How
dare
dare you?
put Kevin Bacon in
Don't
such
you
a
take it from Emilio.
disastrous
He could free the sausage.
He
Oh
could
my God,
free
you're
the
gross.
bacon.
free the bacon.
Bacon.
Oh, stop it.
And he
Stop
would.
it. Listen, listen, Kevin Bacon's lost his fucking mind. Have you seen how many like weird commercials he does nowadays? It's weird.
Lost
It
his
makes me
mind. He like
uncomfortable.
lives on a farm in pure like it looks
And
like sheer joy with like
Apparently
goats and
breathes
sheep
in
and, like,
mold. Because like everything he's in now, he's like so weird and whimsical, and I don't like
That's
it.
because he can be in whatever he wants to be.
he could do whatever the fuck he wants.
So
as
he's
Kevin
like,
Bacon.
I'm gonna be in a high end commercial. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
doesn't
whatever, dude.
care.
Listen, I don't know what's
All
going
right.
on with him. I think he was replaced by
Uh-huh.
something.
All right, Dave,
No.
I got a serious question for you.
Sure.
In this
Serious?
hypothetical, it's very serious. In this hypothetical remake, and
Okay.
actually everyone can answer this one. Who's making the soundtrack? They got AC/DC for the first one, but who are you hiring
Exactly.
for this one?
Ooh, is it going to be because this matters to my call, but is it going to be another trucker based
Okay.
is it going to be trucks, big rigs, equipment, or are we
Sure.
going more with your kind of idea of it just being all kind of technology haywire?
Or do we need a band that maybe their whole discography is already sci-fi based and
I already know where Jamie's going.
Yeah.
movie should just be a soundtrack by Coheed and Cambria.
Not. Why would you do that
I
to
would-
them?
To them? I wouldn't.
Yes.
I wouldn't do that to them ever.
On a
like-
poopy remake?
I'm waiting for them to make their own movie that nobody's gonna understand, incling me.
I was going
Like-
to say the comic I heard is pretty.
It's
out there.
I'm too stupid to follow. I mean, I try, but
I would have to say, John, and the last soundtrack that really impacted me that I thought had the right vibe that would work with a remake of this movie
Yeah.
is I think Disaster Piece would do a really fantastic.
Okay, that would be cool.
soundtrack.
That would be very cool.
Because
Alrighty,
I
like,
love
go
that
ahead.
It Follows.
sorry.
yeah.
you guys are more musically inclined than me, so I don't have that answer because I only go to one band for everything.
And who is that band, Jamie? Go ahead and give them the free advertisement.
Coheed and Cambria?
Coheed Game.
I think they would actually do a pretty good version
they
of
would.
a soundtrack.
They
for
could.
this.
Something like this. They actually could. But like you would ask me who could have scored the Barbie movie, and I would tell you Coheed and Cambria. Like it doesn't matter. what.
I could see that one too. I haven't even
can't-
seen Barbie, but I could see it.
I
do.
can't even answer this because I typically don't listen to new music.
Yeah, same.
Doesn't have to be new.
But everything I'm going to pick is from like the 90s. I'm just going to say, well, if you don't do
There's still,
AC/DC,
those
do
people aren't
Metallica.
dead.
Just pick your band.
Listen,
Yeah, Metallica's still alive.
that's what I'm
They're
saying.
still here.
Or like, because like the most, which also it kind of has that vibe a little bit. Like Ghost is a new band I've been introduced. Like they kind of have that like 80s like metal sound. So like maybe
Very Blue
Ghost.
Oyster Cult.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like you're that's the thing I thought of when you're talking about your question mark, because I was like, maybe it's just a Blue Oyster Cult like album cover.
Listen, don't. First off, how dare you? I just don't even. Just like you say stuff, and I'm just like, you're gonna be the first ones taken by the aliens because you haven't paid attention to anything I've ever warned you about and try to teach you about, and the question mark's gonna shine right on your house, and then you're like, what's going on? And the next thing you know, the aliens from Signs are gonna be blowing poison out of their.
I'll just throw water
refrigerators.
at them.
You're not gonna have any
Dave,
water
to you-
nearby.
To your point earlier, because we all know I take notes. I only have like a page and a half of notes, and the first page is just my rant of how much I hate why I hate this movie. This is all why I don't like it.
That's
And
so
then
neat.
These
Can
are
you
the
can you
only
publish
notes.
those?
These are the only notes I have on the actual movie.
On the
We've
actual
already
movie.
gone through them.
Any
These are neat.
positives
They're
on
actually
there?
great. They're a hybrid of script. You know, I'm that age. where that's
Jamie, you
what
make
do.
me. You make me sad.
I'm so
Why?
jealous of the
But,
handwriting.
look,
So
but at least I
neat.
took diligent notes
Listen,
on it, Eli.
yeah, but like I think if you would just rewatch it with
My
just
13
open,
ghost notes are messy.
Yeah, just-
open your
just-
heart.
Just spend
open
another
the-
2 hours
open your
with this
heart.
movie
No.
you hate.
Here,
I'm sorry,
listen, how
Eli.
about
I
this?
can't.
How about
I
how about I
can't
make
do
how
this
about I
again.
make you a deal? How about I make you a deal? Right? How about I make you a deal?
Yeah, what are you watching?
I'll come up. I'll come up to New York City.
Okay.
Take you out
Well,
to Golden Corral.
Now we're making a party. of
Take
it.
you out to
Like-
Golden Corral. Wow.
Get you in
What a deal.
the receiving mood for some Maximum Overdrive.
Uh-huh.
Then we'll watch it. A belly full of Golden Corral.
This is fine. Golden
And
Crown,
you'll
I
fuck
assume a
everybody.
lot of alcohol or something to
Yeah,
make
sure.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah, or the sweet tea or Pepsi, because right now, go across the deal, all you drink Pepsi. So,
Oh wow!
Well, and to the
All
point,
you can drink.
to the point you made earlier, Jamie, and it blew my mind because you had mentioned it on a Discord earlier that there's no reason this movie's 2 hours. You know how long it actually is?
Hour 38.
It's an hour and 37 and a half minutes.
That's how many commercials were in the.
Yeah.
But to your point, it feels like it's freaking
Oh,
a
it feels
3-hour
so
midsummer
long.
movie.
And
Because nothing
honestly,
happens in that like big middle
that hour
act.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes. So the thing about something like that is when you watch it on these streaming services that do insert the commercials, it really doesn't help a movie like this because
Right.
all I want is to keep it going. And you keep inserting these commercials. And not only is it, to me, it's already gotten slow and it's like, stop inserting commercials and let this play out. Let them blow up,
Let it
whatever.
finish.
Let's move this along. So at least it's flowing for me. But now you got these friggin' commercials inserted to make it 2 hours on
Yeah.
Pluto.
and they don't put them in like reasonable spots.
No,
it's like,
it's like that
there's a
bad cut up.
televised
Yeah.
version that they could have just done.
Yeah, where it
And,
has
like,
them
put 'em in there.
slotted.
But
Yeah.
nope, they just because the Patriot is like two, I think
Patriot
2.5
again?
hours.
Patriots.
No, it was well over 3 hours on
Yeah,
Pluto.
on there. Yeah, no.
For me, it was like 9 because the fucking
Don't you have the
kept restarting.
DVD?
I do, but I was like, I didn't want to hook up the player.
Eli, I'm sorry, but yeah, you should have just.
I learned my lesson. I'll never watch anything on Pluto again. I will pay money to rent it from Amazon before I watch it for free on Pluto.
Well,
And we all know how I feel about that.
Any ground we haven't covered on the actual movie?
no,
I
I think
love
it's
it.
been well covered.
It's amazing.
Eli, how do you feel about this movie?
I love it.
You've
It's amazing.
been kind of vague throughout. The movie.
Yeah, it's this makes surprise people. Love it.
Is this a top 10 movie? Let's all joking
No,
aside.
Eli,
Is
please.
this a
Like-
top 10 Eli horror movie?
So Eli has a couple. Has
No.
a couple lists.
There.
Oh, I knew you were gonna say that.
understand
No,
you have
no.
different lists. Top 10 all-time horror movies. Does this mean?
This is
Put your money
not.
where your mouth is.
This is not in my top 10
Okay.
horror movies, but
Thank
this
God.
is in my top 10 comfort movies.
Okay. Well, that's fair. Now, I can't speak to nostalgia
Mm-hmm.
and sentimentality and all that stuff. So.
Because I said, legitimately, like when I was a kid, because like where I grew up, like that was like a threat for children was the like semi trucks. Like that was you could no one wanted you too close to the road because like the way the road curves, like you could kind of hear them coming, but like they would just kind of come out of nowhere and like
Won't get you.
like I remember like when I was a kid, the first time I watched Pet Cemetery, the fucking boy gets hit by a truck. My uncle's like, that's why you don't play too close to the
Yeah,
road.
and that's a very tense scene, and
Right.
it's a scary
but
scene.
now-
But guess
Constructed.
what?
But
Wow.
Maximum
And that's a
Overdrive,
Stephen King story.
but Maximum Overdrive introduced a new concept to me. The
Where
truck
they
could
just sit idly.
come after me and circle me in my house. Ooh, scary.
That's
and
more
it's
They
like
just-
the Green
They
Goblin.
just park
Like-
idly and look at you.
Spider-Man's greatest villain. Like, oh man, it's scary. Yeah, that's a truck looking into your eyes like a great white shark. No,
Yeah,
thank
they
you.
don't have eyes. It's a truck.
That Green Goblin had eyes, Jamie, and it's a truck, so I know the nose wasn't real. So my whole shitting myself defense plan goes out the window.
So the eyes are real. Then where are these rules? The
Listen,
eyes are real.
listen.
Then the nose is not, obviously. because
When
it's
you
not.
are a truth seeker like myself, you learn
Wow.
these rules.
Let-
You just learn them. Okay.
let me sum up how chaotic and friggin' riff with danger this movie was. The director of photography, and his name is Armando Nanuzzi. I apologize if I'm butchering that, but the director of photographer lost his freaking right eye during the shooting of this movie when the remote control lawnmower went out of control, hit the wooden platform that he and his camera were on, and shot shrapnel into his face, causing him to sue Stephen King personally for $18 million.
That's way
the
more
claw.
exciting than this movie.
Exactly.
How dare you? But
It
in
is.
all joking aside, anybody that makes remote control lawnmowers do scare me. I had a neighbor once that used to do that.
Now this.
Yeah, that's a murder waiting to happen.
First off, he retired extremely young, and no one really knows how. And
His money.
He just sat around at home all the time, and every once in a while, he used to fly those like expensive remote control planes,
Mhm.
and he had this like kind of like
So
old
he
like big
Had
one.
money.
He used to do it in his yard, and every once in a while, we'd watch him take the mower out of it, the motor, and like attach it somehow and like rig it to this like push mower he built, and then he'd sit in his yard and like push mower, like control.
So he's
the
a
push
genius.
mower.
So he was a genius.
Yeah,
He was
he's
a
an
creepy
inventor.
genius. He was like Jigsaw, because then he would like, if it, like when we were standing like there, we'd like watch him. He'd like be like, ah, he'd be like, "Mm." And then as soon as he's done mowing, he would take it apart and put it back in the plane. Like, did you do that in the morning?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Creepy. I bet you had a Jigsaw
and
basement.
that man's name was Elon Musk.
It was not. It was not. Because if it was, I'd know more about the Cabal.
So there is one other interesting point. And
Oh, you
this-
son of a bitch.
and Eli, I don't know how he's going to feel about it. I think Jamie's going to have some strong
Uh-oh.
feelings about this one, and I don't know how true it is. I did a little bit of research, and it looks like it could be true. But there is a legend around this movie that this movie is the only reason that Evil Dead 2 exists. And I'll explain.
What?
I went and
Explain.
I went and did a little research, because obviously it started with, I found that little trivia note when I'm looking up trivia for movies. If there's something interesting, I'll throw it in. So that one seemed like it was one of those pieces of garbage that somebody puts in, but apparently Raimi and Campbell were working on, they already had the script and they were trying to get funds together, and they were actually starting in production on Evil Dead 2 when this came out. Now, Stephen King is a huge fan of Raimi and the original Evil Dead. And he found out while he's producing, or while he's directing this movie, that Raimi has run out of money and nobody's backing him for Evil Dead 2. And Stephen told Dino, you need to go talk to Sam. You got to get that movie made. It's going to be the next big thing. And that's when Dino De Laurentiis, who did end up becoming an executive producer on Evil Dead 2, backed the film. So
That sounds plausible.
we may not have Evil Dead 2 if it wasn't for Maximum Overdrive. And
I
that blows my friggin' mind.
Yeah. Oh no, I totally believe that, because there's a famous story where the original Night of the Living Dead would not have been made if it was not for Mr. Rogers.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
For
because
backing Pittsburgh.
well, no, because George Romero was he worked on the Mr. Rogers show during the time when he was trying to get Night of the Living Dead made, and he was having trouble getting the money together to get it made. And Mr. Rogers, who obviously did not like horror movies, but appreciated the fact that he was planning on casting African American lead, and the fact that he was from Pittsburgh and he'd done so well on the show, he's like, just don't credit me, but he's like, here's the money to make the movie, and he made the movie.
I would believe that too.
It's
I
a
believe
small
all of it.
world.
I guess we have to now just be, I don't even want to say happy, but whatever, that Maximum Overdrive existed
that
in the world.
Jamie, hey Jamie, remember that
Something
movie
got
that I
me?
love, and that you were like, it's poopy. Hey, I think a little favorite series of you owes a big thank you. Hey, I'll be waiting for my thank you card.
Your what?
Thank you card. Oh, you son of a bitch. Son of a bitch.
Got him.
Son of a bitch. All I'm saying is Jamie owes me an I'm sorry card, a you're right card, and a thank you card.
Ooh,
That's 3 cards you owe me.
Yes,
Okay.
she'll get right on that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You better go pitch a 10 out front of your
I owe
mailbox.
you the apology card when you show up at my door with an alien. We've been through this. And I owe you. And I don't know where the thank you came from.
For right now, because my movie helped create
I thought that
your
was
series' future.
But I thought that was the other one.
No, the you're right card is
You're
because I
right.
was right about aliens.
That was the
Of course.
apology card.
I thought that was an apology.
No, there's 2 cards about the aliens. An apology for not believing me, and a you're right because I was right.
Okay, audience, I'm not going to make you have to listen to me.
How dare you? Listen, all I know
Thank
is
you, Dave.
you know what? Here's the thing, people. Here's the thing.
Well,
You guys are all
I
going to
said I was going to not let it.
Man, one day I have the Mole King fan club. The fact that no one started that yet kind of upsets me. So, listeners, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but I'm just saying I've done
Are
a
you
lot for the
fan
world.
shaming our
A little
audience?
bit. I am. I'm a little disappointed.
I'm pretty sure Dave's going to be real upset about not the host, Dave, our fan, Dave.
Is he starting a Mole King fan club?
I know.
No, I'm pretty sure he is not.
Well, then you know what? You deserve to be upset, Dave, whoever you are. You can go
Dave,
lick a
whoever
rock.
you are. Well, as you
Oh
can
my God.
imagine, there is not a Dave's Critter Corner this week because there are no critters in this
There-
movie other than the dog that I'm not going to talk about because that was just so
Mean.
stupid. And
That
mean.
was just mean. But
Yeah. So
you know what? But the beginning of this movie was very silly. So that
Yeah.
fit kind of right into the silliness.
well, and to John's point, I would have much rather watched that mayhem that happened on that suburban street
Yeah.
than be at the truck stop for the next
Yeah.
hour and a half.
Yeah, more Gremlins
Absolutely.
activity.
Absolutely. More of the everyday devices taking over and being ridiculous
Yeah.
would have been.
Yeah, like the guy in the porch swing whose Sony Walkman apparently killed him. I
Yeah.
want that story. How did that happen?
Instead, we watched
Did
Truck
it melt his
Idol.
brain with AC/DC?
It's
Listen.
baffling.
Oh, that would have
It's
been good.
baffling that we have all that in the beginning, and that you know that somewhere in his brain, because it's put together, he has those debts. Like they're
Yeah,
they're
he's Stephen
there,
King. He knows
but
that
he
story.
only gives you the aftermath and none of the
All
fun
I'm saying
besides the
is
knife.
maybe if people weren't so hard on my boy Stephen King,
Oh my
he'd have
goodness.
felt like making a sequel where he went into that. But everybody truck shamed him.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Eli, but Stephen King himself knows that this is a heaping piece
Trash.
of burning
He's
garbage.
he's just saying that to hide the tears.
Oh, he's coy. Yeah, Stephen
Yeah, he's
King.
being coy.
I've always had a sense that Stephen King is a coy person.
He is a coy, very, very coy, very sensitive.
Sure.
Well, as you may not know, this is the end of September. It's the last Monday of September, which friggin' means Camp Wicked Wild starts next week, which also means we're not going to have a Campfire Tales for Maximum Overdrive. So there won't be a Campfire Tales next week. We'll actually have our very first Camp Wicked Wild movie for the 2023 season. Some of you might be relieved in that. Some might be horrified, but this is the theme for this year. And we haven't talked about it yet. We've kind of teased a little bit in the social media, but our theme this year is, as we've been speaking throughout the year, Year of the Wiener. So we have Year of the Wiener themed movies all throughout October for Camp Wicked Wild. If you weren't with us last year, what we do is we do a movie review and a campfire tale every single week of October because we friggin' love spooky season. And we're going to have special guests for every review, and we might have some special guests on the Campfire Tales too. You never know. So next week, we're going to start off Camp Wicked Wild with a banger that I know at least one of our hosts has not seen. John has not seen it. I don't know if Eli has seen it. Oh, Eli has seen it and he poo-pooed it. I remember that. But it's a movie that me and Jaime have very fond feelings for. So we're looking forward to getting to talk with them. And we're going to have our boy Jeff from Campfire Tales as our special guest for Piranha 3D to kick off Camp Wicked Wild. So if you enjoyed the show, we do ask that you subscribe, rate the show, give us a review, 5 stars, please. And then give us some comments because I think we've earned them today. I think we've been taken through the gauntlet. There's been a lot of emotion. There's been a lot of drama. So just give us some love. Tell us what you think. Tell us how much you enjoy Maximum Overdrive, how much it's meant to you throughout.
Maybe one of you starts
Now we're
the
getting no comments.
the Mole King fan club, the MKFC. No, MK.
No, you're right.
Yeah, MKFC.
He can't even get his own acronyms right, but make him a fan
Well,
club.
I was going to add some more adjectives in there, John. I guess one person who's not going to be in the fan club.
Yeah, let's not be thoughtless, John.
You son of a bitch. You son of a
If you want
bitch.
to learn more about the podcast or any of my lovely hosts, we've got some information about each of us on there and kind of why we're doing what we're doing here. You can go to our website at thewickedwild.com. We also have book reviews, some movie reviews, some titillating little pieces of travel journal vlogs that Eli and Jeff have given us for some of their travels. I think he said that he's going to give us more this year, which means by 2025, we'll have a couple more.
Listen, first off, listen, guy, last time I had COVID, okay, it took me a little bit, but I have some travels potentially coming up.
Blame
they're in the
COVID.
plan.
That's such a 2020
You
excuse.
listen, I was sick, Jamie, and I didn't even get a get well card from you or a hey, hope you're okay.
What's with the cards? Why do you want cards?
Well,
cards are dumb.
Oh wow, yeah, coming from a guy who also didn't say I hope you get better. Wow.
I didn't even know you were sick.
Oh, that's it. Really, real interesting and convincing when I literally put in our message on when we were using Slack. I have COVID. Wow.
When was this?
When I had COVID, John. Oh my God.
Again.
Wow. You know what?
Eli is going to make a fantastic stepmother someday.
I am.
He's got that guilt line down strong.
Listen, I can't wait to do the psychological warfare of I eat the rest of the cookies, but then I'm like, where'd the rest of the cookies go?
Just gonna mentally break your children.
Listen. If there's one thing I've learned in life, the way you rebuild people, you mentally break them, then they're ready to accept the truth.
Yeah, but okay, I can't go down this road. I cannot go down the parenting road with Eli.
You probably shouldn't. You probably shouldn't.
Thank you for listening. If you want to follow us on social media, you've got two options. We're on Twitter at Wicked While We Are. We're on Slasher, which is the horror only community, which is picking back up now. I did mention a couple of reviews ago that it looked like it was dying off. It does seem to have got the second breath. There's some new people in there that are commenting and interacting. So that's
like
also,
me.
Like me.
Yeah.
Me and Jamie joined.
And boy, are they bringing the energy.
Us.
Well, you tell me I can't give parenting tips, Dave. So,
well, I just enjoyed that Jamie was on for all of 24 hours before she complained about what a hot mess the platform was and had the owners of Slasher on there like apologizing.
I was on all of 10 minutes before I made that comment, and he is still messaging me, by the way.
So they care. That's the thing that we've learned is they actually do care. They
do care. I'm not making jokes about that.
Looks like you better go out and buy. I think
he did fix my problem.
I'm sorry, cards, because looks like you owed an apology to a few people.
Wow.
If you want to see our beautiful faces and or if you just enjoy consuming podcasts and this kind of material on YouTube, we're on there. Just search the Wicked Wild Podcast. If you have any questions, thoughts, feedback, anything else you want to give me, you can send it in an email, podcast @thewickedwild.com. Jamie had her hand raised.
Oh, no, I was waving for people watching us.
You were waving for YouTube. Gotcha. Well, now they got to see you because we got it on there. So, Eli, anything else going on? Any other things you need to promote? How's Lore Masters of the Absurd?
Good. We're actually we're rebooting version 2.0.
Okay.
We're changing the format a little bit because we got tired of killing childhood memories, which seem to keep happening week after week.
Well, I had that experience this week.
Yeah. Well, no, you didn't. How dare you?
Sure did.
We're changing the format. So new episode will be coming or will be out already. Or is that coming out? I don't remember days anymore because my brain is consumed with death and despair that the world's coming to. But yeah, so give us a listen. Lore Master of the Absurd.
So what's the new format? What can they expect?
We're going to be talking about some mysteries and some weird stuff that's occurred and some of my theories where I'm educating. And
thank God.
Jeff
found a new way to vent this
and
stuff.
Jeff making fun of me relentlessly as I try to teach him the truth and the real truth. So basically, like if you like Campfire Tales, just not a spooky centric, but weird centric.
Like the Wicked Whispers? Like a longer version?
Like some like famous, some weird and famous stuff from like mysteries, like
ancient aliens.
Well, potentially, no. But did you know that Lewis and Clark, did Lewis die by suicide or was he murdered? Because he found something.
Murdered.
But stuff like that. Like
absurd. Things you might call absurd. Maybe.
Maybe like you might call absurd. So where we talk about stuff like that, I'm sure you'll see some of these clowns.
Yeah.
But we just listen, you can take the boys out of the legends, but you can't take the legends out of the. Well, I was gonna say you can't take the Aries out of the legend, but then I was like, well, that doesn't make sense because what's an Aries by itself? Just listen to us. Just listen to us.
God.
Anything you got going on? Anything you want to promote?
No.
New card writing business.
No cards. We love trees on this podcast. We're not cutting down trees.
Sew me a card out of fabric.
Sew you a card.
Yeah, fabric.
On that note, as we always say here on the Wicked Wild Podcast, our recommendation for Eli is to get lost.
So that I can go teach your children.
It may be the only place he can go find himself.
I will teach them many good lessons.
Good night.